what are you doing?
Shh.
You know, that's not even a real... I've got a bad feeling about this.
Hiya! Hello all, I'm Josh, don't call me Joshua, this is Josh Builds Stuff, and today we're talking about the all-new Imperial Probe Droid set. This set just came out at the end of April in 2021. It contains 683 pieces and costs $60 here in the US. This is yet another 18 plus set from LEGO, and I think in this case that is justified because the set was rather complicated to build. We'll talk about that in just a second. This set came out at about the same time as a couple of new LEGO Star Wars helmets. However, this is not a part of the LEGO Star Wars helmets collection. Trust me, I tried. It does not fit on one's head. My initial impressions of this set, I like it a lot. I think it is very well designed, I think it displays very well, and I think it's a great set for fellow AFOLs like myself. That's adult fans of LEGO for those who are UI, that is uninformed, or user interface if you are a web developer like me. But we will talk more about why I like this set so much, and I'll tell you about the things about this set that I do not like as much as some other things about some other sets. We'll do all of that right after we build it. The build for this set started out great and finished great, but the middle portion I'm not too happy with. I'll tell you why. The beginning of this build was building the snowy base of this set. That part was cool, and then you built the base, the little main structure of the probe droid himself. That was also a nice build, but then you move on to building the legs of this probe droid. That part of the build was not very fun. It was a bunch of very tiny junctions, a bunch of clip pieces. They don't go together very well. It's kind of hard to see where they're meant to go on the main body of the set. You don't know how you're supposed to angle them or direct them to make them look nice in the actual build. And then you finish with all the legs, and you're happy with that, and then you build the head piece, and that part was also fun to build. So like I said, the build is sandwiched between a couple of pleasant pieces, and then the meat of this sandwich was a bunch of kind of annoying spindly legs to build, but overall I guess the build was nice, and if you put on Empire Strikes Back, which is where the probe droid originated from, then that is pretty much the exact length of movie that you need to finish this entire build. That was a sentence and a half, I'll tell you what. There were a couple of commas in that one. So what do I like about this set? Well, I like the way that it looks and that it displays, and that I guess I like most about this set. I'm not crazy about these legs, but I'll talk about that I guess more in a second. But overall, the aesthetic of this set is very well done, and I think this set displays very well, which like I said is kind of essential for an 18 plus set, because we're not really going to play with this set. I don't know that anyone would play with this set, but it displays very well. It would look very nice displayed on a shelf. This set is not comparable to the Star Wars Helmets collection, which is what it was released alongside of. Instead, it's more comparable to the other kind of large displayable sets, the maquettes, if you will. Most notably are like a BB-8, we've got a Baby Yoda set, even the Porg that came out, I think, a couple of years ago. They're similar to this in that there is a main sculpture of the build or the figure itself that we're supposed to be portraying here, and then the set also comes with a little display plate or like this little plaque with some information on it. Maybe it has some little base plate area here. In this case, we get some cool snow effects. We didn't get so much of that in those other sets that I just named. In this case, I am a big fan of this snowy base that this set is displayed upon. And even on that display plaque itself, we get a bunch of little like snowy effects, as if someone set the display plaque in the snow itself, which kind of gives away the probe droid's position, which, I mean, that kind of defeats the purpose of a probe droid, because the thing is supposed to be like sneaking in and like surveying an area, but instead it brought along this large display plaque with it that kind of gives you all the information about this thing. So who cares if it has a big self-destruct mechanism built into it? There's a plaque right next to it on which you can kind of read everything about it that you need to know. The Imperial Probe Droid, as you may or may not know, first appeared in Episode 5, The Empire Strikes Back, and like I said, you can pretty much watch that entire movie while building this set, and I did just that. But I came up with a couple of questions while watching that movie, which brings me to our next segment of our show. It's called, hey, you've rewatched that movie that you've watched a bunch of times, but now you have a bunch of questions and a YouTube channel on which to present those questions. Question 1, why was General Veers standing so close behind Vader when he turned around? Question number 2, can Vader choke anyone through a TV screen as long as he can see them? If not, Why doesn't he just FaceTime Luke Skywalker and force choke him through there? The movie would have been a lot shorter, as would have been the entire Skywalker saga. Why does Yoda live so close to a cave which is literally just full of the dark side? When Darth Vader blocks blaster bullets with his hands, is he using the Force to block those, or is it just because he has robot hands and he can't feel it? What album do you think Lobot's listening to in those Beats by Vey headphones? If it's Folklore by Taylor Swift, same my dude, it is very easy to retain a very stoic look when listening to that album. This has been the first ever segment of, hey, you recently rewatched that movie that you've seen a bunch of times and now you have questions about it and a YouTube channel upon which to thrust those questions. We'll see you next week for probably a different segment. I've already said that in general I like this set. I think it displays very well, I think it's built very well, and I think it appeals to adult fans of LEGO like myself. I think this set reinforces a theory that I've had about LEGO for quite some time. That theory is that LEGO is challenging themselves, or rather they're challenging the designers at LEGO, and I think that challenge was to design something that LEGO has not made before, and LEGO has definitely not made a probe droid before, especially not at this scale. Sure, little ones have been present in plenty of other sets, but at this scale as a LEGO set in and of itself, I don't think we've ever seen a probe droid before. More importantly, it seems like the challenge to LEGO designers is not only to make something they haven't made before, but rather to make something that would be difficult to create with LEGO. At least it would have been a few years ago without the modern, I don't know, building techniques and just the pieces that are available. That extra step on top of that challenge that I'm getting to is that LEGO seems to be trying to make as many spherical designs as possible. Think about it, all of the LEGO helmets that are coming out recently. We've got the BB-8 set that came out a little while ago. Dio has a big wheel built into it. Even Baby Yoda has a slightly round head. The Porg is roundly designed. The Probe Droid here is basically just a bunch of rounded, curved pieces stuck together. LEGO even just made, produced, and I purchased a UCS R2-D2, who is nothing but a cylindro-conical shape. I kind of stole that term from the Earth to the Moon, which is a Jules Verne book, which is where they build a cylindro-conical shell, which they fire a bunch of people up towards the moon. That's besides the point. LEGO is making a bunch of round designs, and if you think about it, the sphere, or rather a rounded shape, is like the exact antithesis to the LEGO brick. But I think LEGO was like, hey, we have enough pieces, enough resources, enough brain power, enough manpower at this point that we can create any shape that we want out of LEGO. The trick in this case is to scale the size up. You can make a really spherical ball if you just make it very big, because a circle isn't actually a circle, because a curve doesn't actually exist in geometry. Really, it's just like how many lines are used to make up that actual circle, and the more lines that you have, the more rounded the circle actually becomes. The fewer lines, the more blocky it looks. Think about it. An octagon is just a circle with too few lines. You add a bunch more lines onto that octagon and you got a pretty smooth looking circle. All of that being said, LEGO is challenging themselves and they are making spheres, and this set is not actually a sphere. This rant would make a lot more sense if I were reviewing the BB-8 set that came out a little while ago, but in any case, this set has a lot of very interesting curves that I think LEGO did a decent job at achieving. I know, all of that to say that LEGO did decent here. I don't want a probe droid that's like the size of my head, than it would be in the LEGO Star Wars helmet collection. No, I'd like the size of this probe droid, and I think LEGO did a decent job. But even so, probe droids have a lot of very interesting rounded shapes to them, and that is what LEGO was trying to achieve with this set. So rantings of a madman aside, I'll just tell you what I like and dislike about this set. I like the things that I said I liked about the build of this set, and that is the snowy base of this. I like it a lot. The body of this probe droid I like. Even the head of this probe droid I like, which can be rotated freely, which is a kind of fun feature. What I don't like about this set is the legs of it, and maybe I'm being a little nitpicky here because honestly I think LEGO did a decent job of making the legs of this set look like they do on an actual probe droid. If you look at a real probe droid, the legs are actually, they're very spindly thin, they're like wiry thin, and honestly they're a little too thick on this LEGO depiction, but I mean, I guess this is as thin as LEGO could make them and still add in a bunch of variants, and some little legs have claws, some have little drill things, and I guess I shouldn't complain too much because honestly I think the legs get the point across, and that I really would not want to be poked or I guess probed by this particular probe droid's legs. What I don't like about them is that they're flimsy and they do fall off rather easily. you can barely pull them off. And I mean, my kids have just barely touched this set and the legs will fall off, and it's kind of hard to tell where they're supposed to be connected or how they're supposed to be configured, because they are, I guess, supposed to be intentionally a little random looking, and that effect is definitely achieved. But I guess I'm being a little nitpicky here. I don't know what other solution I would have come up with for this same leg design, but if I'm looking for something to complain about, that's it. I found it. It's the legs. They fall off, much like that one just fell off. Otherwise, like I said, I really like the body and the head of this set. The body is supposed to be like a weird kind of fat disc shape, which sure, the effect is achieved enough here with some sloped bricks. The head is supposed to just be kind of a jumble of a bunch of, like, I don't know, things that look like cameras or eyes or whatever. This is a probe droid after all. It is searching a planet for those darn rebels, and so that effect is definitely achieved here. As to how accurate that head is to an actual probe droid, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 8. So let me know what you think about this probe droid fella. Let me know if you would let him grace your shelves with his presence, or if you feel like he would just kind of seem a little too much like Big Brother, kind of probing in on whatever you were doing in your office. As always, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. If you didn't, also be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your friends. Doesn't matter if you like the video, as long as someone likes, subscribes, and tells their friends. Again, thank you so much for watching. I will see you next time.